Hello, welcome to the Mediocre Takes podcast, the podcast where we talk about our mediocre takes on the shows and movies we watch. I'm Marco and I'm here with my co host Mal. How are you doing, Mal?
The heat is getting to me, and I am going
Oh,
insane.
oh my god, it's so hot recently.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a reason for that.
Yeah, the world may never know. So today we're going to be actually recording our Love, Death, and Robots season 2 and season 3 episodes. But before we do that, I want to talk about, yeah,
Do you hear a hissing noise?
no, do you?
Yes. I I don't know where it's coming. Give me a second.
Okay.
No. I said
Okay.
so many words.
Okay, okay.
This is so heartbreaking.
So we had like a dumb moment where basically I forgot I wasn't recording because we had some technical difficulties. So I stopped recording while Mal was trying to fix the thing. And then when we came back, I forgot to record again. So now we have to start over. Anyways, today we're talking about Love, Death, and Robots. Mal's gonna start off with automated customer service. And yeah,
Okay. Automated customer service, take two. We open up with clips of Florida in the future, aka a retirement town where robots are being used to do basically everything, including playing tennis. We go to a home where an elderly lady moves a picture frame. The cleaning robot then moves it back. They go back and forth with that before the robot stops, and then the woman moves it back and then leaves. Once she leaves, the robot then moves it back again, and the woman's tiny white dog growls at the robot, and then the robot shaves off a portion of the dog's hair. The woman calls customer service. They ask if she's tried to turn the robot off and on. When she goes to do that, she gets shocked, and customer service tells her she's activated purge mode, meant to eradicate small pests, as well as small animals and sometimes humans. The robot explodes the woman's fish, and she runs away with her dog to hide from it. Customer service tells her she has to distract the robot in order to access the options menu and suggests throwing a pet at it. The robot chases her and it distracts itself by ripping open a pillow and cleaning up the feathers from it. Instead of taking that moment to access the options menu, she runs into a bathroom with her dog. Customer service bullies her again into sacrificing her dog, but she refuses. She ends up covering it with a blanket. This activates Home Guard security mode, which locks her in her house. She distracts the robot again by throwing a basket of laundry at it and tries to get out before her neighbor comes over with his shotgun. The robot ends up breaking the sliding glass door to tase him in the face. His shotgun falls into the woman's hands, where she does the splits to avoid the other tasers the robot deployed and blasts it. Customer service tells her she needs to run because all that information has been forwarded to all the other robots in her location, and they will hunt her down until she is super dead. She drives away on a golf cart with her neighbor and her dog while robots follow them.
if you guys can't hear that, I was clapping for Mal. I really like this episode. It's a very fun, action filled episode, but that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I do find it funny that both the dog and the woman get their hair lasered off because it kind of plays to the stereotype that animals and their owners look alike. I saw someone say that they hated the character design and that made it hard to watch the show. But what I really didn't like about this show was the dog's design. Like its teeth was very off putting. I hated it. It just looked weird.
The robots in this film reminded me very much of the robots on the ship in Wall-E, especially the ones that were like playing tennis. Also, here's the thing. I don't know how many more iRobot Terminator films have to come out for people to realize not to mess with robots. If your robot moves something in a certain way, that is the right way. Don't fuck with it. That being said, this woman is the type of person to argue with her Roomba. Also, customer service trying to convince her to sacrifice her dog is so girl boss. I literally have no idea why she didn't like there were like two moments where she could have beaten up the robot and she didn't, and I don't understand why. Oh yeah, that scene of the bot tasering the neighbor in the face was just so funny to me. Something about it, like this, like the slow motion, and then the taser just like coming out of nowhere and shocking his silly little face was so funny to me. Also, what a way to spend the rest of your short little life, running away from rogue bots with your dog and your neighbor you may have some romantic chemistry with.
Okay, the next episode is Snow in the Desert. This episode starts off with a man in the desert When we see someone dying in a cell thing, I don't know, it was like a jail. We see the main character Snow is wanted on a wanted poster. An alien woman challenges Snow to a duel. Snow kills two of the aliens who tried to kill him, and he's about to die when a woman stabs one of the aliens in the back. We see someone say that they found him, as in Snow, and to get a team together. Snow is eating in the desert when the woman who saved him, Harold, asks to travel with him. They are walking together when she tells Snow that she knows he's immortal. We learn that Harold is trying to get Snow to come willingly to an organization because they want to get the knowledge of immortality. We make it to Snow's home. Harold wears a dress and asks who the dress is. We learned that it was Snow's wife's dress, and she died like 140 years ago or something. They kiss and hook up. When Harold wakes up, there's a red blinking light, and there are people trying to kill Snow. Snow manages to kill three of the people. One of them survives and is about to kill Snow when Harold saves the day again. Harold is suddenly shot by a man and is presumed dead, when suddenly she kills the man. We learn that Harold is half robot. They kiss, and that's the end of the episode. Okay, so I liked this episode when I first watched it, and I still like it a little bit, but I just don't love it as much as I used to, and I find it a bit boring. Like, I don't know what like about it anymore. I will say that the world building was really good. The whole I'm immortal and sad is getting boring to me. I've seen that trope happen a lot, and it's getting old. Anyways, I'm curious to see whether or not Snow will go to get tested on immortal stuff. I heard someone say that she was trying to steal his sperm. Oh my god. Like when they were having sex, someone commented, "No, don't have sex with her because she's trying to steal your like data and stuff."
Where,
Oh.
Marco, where are you reading these comments?
I was doing them on a review of the
Okay.
episode. Why?
I don't know the fact that, cuz I don't look at other people's reviews and stuff usually when we review stuff unless I've already like watched something. But just someone saying that is so dirty nasty. It actually makes me really happy that I don't do research outside of just watching something.
Yeah, that makes sense. They said something around those lines to give to their robot overlords, which would be so weird if that actually happened. Like, I wondered how Snow would have reacted.
Him offering his armless arm for a fist bump was so funny after it was like blown off. That was so funny to me. Also, I'm not a hetero hater or anything, but those longing looks those freaks gave each other made me gag. So gross. Also, sex scene unnecessary. That being said, if Snow was a lesbian, I would have ate this relationship up. I did giggle out loud when the when the woman got bopped in the head. The fact that like she saved him and then immediately got shot in the head, I giggled out loud. For some reason, this episode, I feel like it was meant to be really serious, but it was just so silly to me. Gross and silly. Next episode, The Tall Grass. We open up with a shot of a train going through a field of grass. We move to a man sitting in one of the train rooms where he's reading a newspaper. He looks out the window and then the train comes to an abrupt stop. The man leaves his room and walks out of the train before one of the train workers tell him to get back into the train. The man says he's going to have a smoke, and the worker tells him to not wander. As the man starts to smoke, he sees lights in the tall grass. Completely ignoring the worker, he goes to investigate. The worker alerts the man to come back, and then the lights run away. The man tries to make it back to the train, but he gets lost. He tries to yell for help, but no one can hear him. The worker gives out one last warning before the train starts to leave. The man hears growling and finds that the source of the light were these pale humanoid creatures with no face coming out of the ground. The man runs away and falls into a big hole filled with these creatures emerging from the ground. He tries to climb out and is grabbed by one of them before its face rips open to expose its. Oh, that's kind of rude. I said to expose its very pretty British teeth. He manages to escape it and is close to the train before a gaggle of them grab him. The worker rescues him by scaring the creatures with a torch before grabbing the man and running onto the train. The man asks what those were, and the worker says they were probably people who maybe got lost crossing the plains or getting off at the wrong stop. We find out that the train will stop at that exact stop at that exact time. The worker tells the man that it's best not to tell anyone about it since no one will believe him, and we get a very nice shot of all the lights emerging from the tall grass.
I really loved the art style for this episode. The monsters were really cool looking, and I loved their design. I wasn't sure whether or not the man was going to survive or not because it's been a long time since I watched this show. So when he survived, it was a surprise to me. I really wanted him to die and expected him to die. I kind of wish we got an anthology or a short story collection about this specific episode because it would have been really interesting to see this idea explored a little bit more. The monsters being lost passengers from the train was a really cool idea, and I'm curious to see why the train seems to stop at this field every now and then.
I love the animation on this. It had that like stop motion feel to it. Also, the second that goofy four-eyed loser made his way into the grass after being told not to, literally he did deserve to die. The scene where the monster's face ripped open and we saw like just like fucking rows of sharp teeth, that was so cool. Also, I like the idea of instead of ghosts existing, they just like sort of become those things. Cuz the idea of ghosts is that it's a person who died that has unfinished business. I think it would be really cool if like someone did some world building where instead of ghosts they turn into like these fucking monstrosities. Anyway, I've never read or seen Stephen King's In the Tall Grass, but I'm just gonna assume that this was just a way better version of that.
The next one, oh yeah,
Oh no, I
did
was just
you?
touching my eyebrow.
Okay. The next one I'm doing is the Drowned Giant. So, the Drowned Giant. This episode starts off with a man driving to a beach explaining that there has been a while before the town heard news of a giant on the beach. The man says that the giant must have been young. He said he was surprised by the existence of it. The researchers decide to go back into town. He talks about how the giant was still alive to him. We see the giant slowly decaying. The day he sees the giant decaying, we also see some workers trying to cut off an arm of the giant. He said later they would cut off more parts of him. The next day he visited the giant and it had been gone. After people forgot about the giant, pieces of the body started appearing all throughout town. He talks about what happened to the giant penis, and that's pretty much the end of the episode. Okay, so the scene where we see the penis thing was really gross. Like, I don't know why it made us look at it like that. I didn't know how to feel. I hate the fact that the main guy is British. I genuinely do not like the British people. They suck. I'm just joking, by the way.
We need to
I
maintain the hatred that we have for British people in this episode.
I like how this episode was mostly a reflection of how fleeting life is and about death.
I don't have much to say about this film except I know it's based off a short story of the same name. There was like a message to this whole thing. You talked about it, Marco. I also saw a reference to the short story in a video essay I watched before. So I know that there are deeper meanings to this, but I don't remember what it was, and I honestly don't even really care to figure it out because I think it was the fact that it was a British narrator that made me so disinterested in listening and paying attention. It just really felt like an English assignment, and it really took me out of it. That being said, I really do want to befriend a giant so bad. I feel like it would be super cool. Not seeing the penis part, I would not want to see the penis.
Honestly,
That
me
is
too.
it. Next up, All Through the House. In this Christmas film, a little girl, Leah, wakes up her little brother, Billy. They hear Santa noises coming from downstairs and go to investigate. They sneak into the living room and hide behind the couch. The little girl peeks over and sees a tongue tentacle thing slurp up the milk. After eating the cookies, the monstrous creature that looks like it belongs in Doom approaches the children before growling at them and then getting real close to the little girl and giving her a good old sniff before speaking her name and regurgitating a gift. It does the same thing to Billy before giving Billy a pat on the head and telling them to stay good. Billy opens his gift and says it's exactly what he wanted. We cut to them in bed, traumatized, and then Leah asks what would have happened if they weren't good.
I forgot about this episode and I was expecting something really bad to happen as well. So when nothing bad happened, I was kind of surprised. I like how the kids realized that if they weren't good, they might have died. Like they'll probably stay good kids for the rest of their lives because they realize that. The monster design was also really good. I really appreciate the weird and gross designs when it comes to Love, Death, and Robots. When the monster coughs up the president, I was caught off guard and I thought he was going to eat them. Overall, this was a fun but a little scary episode.
Okay, I absolutely love stop motion. The amount of time it takes to just finish, like, even a short film like this is crazy. So, whenever anyone creates a stop motion short film, that's how you know that this was a passion project. So, I really love that. Also, this is a certified Christmas classic. The Grinch wishes this was him. And I don't know if this was based off an old European fairy tale to scare children, but I would believe it if someone told me that. I loved how the monster looked so much with like the extra pair of hands. Literally so slay. I also like the overall idea of this monster like actually being Santa and parents creating this PG version of Santa so the kids aren't like absolutely terrified of Christmas.
The next episode is Pop Squad. This episode starts with the police looking through a woman's room. They say that the woman is doing something illegal and take her away. Then the officer kills some children that were in the room. We cut to the officer driving in the space car into a futuristic city. Then the police officer is at a party where he sees a woman singing. We learn that having children is illegal because the people live forever, not the children. The woman doesn't understand why people would give up living forever for having children. We see blood on the officer's hands, and he gets a flashback of killing the children. Next, we see the officer and his partner in some kind of room. They hold hands, and the partner's eyes turn bigger for some reason. I'm not quite sure what that was about. We get another flashback of the officer catching another person who was hiding children. And when they take the guy who's hiding the guy takes an officer's gun and tries to kill the main character. So the bullet grazes him and somehow he survives. I'm not sure how. He sees the tag of the dinosaur toys from the boy he killed, and the tag says ISP Witch Collectibles, and goes to the company and finds a mysterious woman buying a toy. He follows the woman and finds a baby. He tells the woman to sit and asks her some questions like, why does she want to have children? One of the officer's coworkers finds him and they both shoot each other. He kills her and I think he dies in the end, and that's pretty much the end of the episode. First of all, I think this is just more proof on why we should hate the police. Like, I know this is a fictional story, but still, like, this was the police if it was in a more dystopian world. Anyways, did y'all know that police were created in order to keep black slaves in line? They were called, and I quote, slave patrol, and they were used to stop black slaves from freeing themselves. Anyways, their roots are literally in racism. I just want to mention this because this story feels a bit like, oh, feel bad for me. I'm a policeman that just realized that what I'm doing is wrong. I don't know. I just didn't feel bad for him. It literally took him this long to figure out what he was doing was wrong. I feel like this would have been cooler if we got the POV from someone who was having children and not from a police officer.
I love the allyship, Marco. This was like a really interesting dystopian world, but I will just say this. It kind of gave off pro birth and pro hetero propaganda, and I cannot explain this any further.
I completely agree. I got that vibe when I was watching
Okay.
it, but I didn't write it in my notes because I feel like people would judge me or something.
Oh my god, whatever. Guys, try to judge me. Just know that if you do, you will be committing multiple hate crimes. Also, showing child murder right off the bat is a bold move, but it's also really good at like setting the standards for this world. And my main question about this world, and maybe it's just maybe I just the answer was given to me and I didn't hear it, but my main question is if they're killing kids, how are they maintaining a steady population? Because the mom at the end said that she's been alive for, I think it was like over 300 years, and she said she's seen too much, which means that there are more people out there who feel that way. And as we saw before, there are people out there who were having children, and there were most definitely people out there who have killed themselves because they just couldn't handle it anymore. So my question is, what is happening? Where is the what is the population? How is it staying maintained? Like, what the fuck are they doing? And that is it. This actually, you know what? This episode made me really angry. It felt like weird propaganda. There were zero answers given to me. I felt nothing for the main character. Next film, Life Hutch. We open with a heavily injured man saying he's going to die here. We then cut to a damaged spaceship crashing on a desolate planet. The man we saw in the beginning gets out and limps to some space safe house and enters. A maintenance robot is deployed and slams onto the ground while the computer system says maintenance robotic error, maintenance robotic malfunction. And then the robot attacks the man. He tells the computer to stop the robot and it says unable to comply. The man freezes while he's on the ground and the robot scans him for movement. His helmet falls and the robot absolutely smashes it to dust. We then flash to the man in his ship on his way to attack what looked like a future iteration of the Death Star. The man wakes up and the robot is still patrolling. He tries to sit up but slips on his own blood. Oh, yeah, also he's bleeding out, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Anyway, he falls back into the table that he was slightly propped up against and his glove starts to fall off of the table. The robot jumps onto the table, knocking the glove off, where it falls onto his shoulder and then onto the ground. The robot gets off the table and walks over to the man, where it walks over him and smashes his hand. And we get a great shot of his mangled fingies when he lifts them. We get another flashback of him attacking the Death Star. His ship was hit by one of its rays. Back to the present, where the man remembers he has a flashlight and gets it out. He flashes the light at the robot's own body and it attacks its own legs. He then takes one of its legs and smashes its head in. Next scene, he's patching himself up and sending a rescue message. The computer then reminds him that the maintenance robot has malfunctioned.
I really liked this episode. It was intense and suspenseful. I forgot whether or not the main character dies in this one as well, and I was expecting him to die, but I was kind of disappointed when he didn't. I mean, you gotta kill some characters, you know? Like, sometimes I just want a character to die or two. Apparently, Michael B. Jordan acted in this episode. Do I know much about Michael? No. I just think he's an actor or something. He's probably famous. I was expecting backup robots to turn on and then he would die or something because that would have been a lot more fun. Except they didn't. I don't know. I was kind of disappointed.
Holy shit, Marco, you were thirsty for blood. As every day passes, I get more and more afraid of those robot dogs. Like, I just hope I'm dead before they become sentient enough to turn on us, because there's also an episode in Black Mirror with a robot dog, and I feel like I've just learned to automatically fear them. There's a lot of cuts back and forth, and I wasn't mad at that like I was in that gay anime you forced me to watch at gunpoint. And I think it's because these flashbacks happen at more organic points in the story. And there was one flashback where it sort of reminded him that he had the flashlight that he then used. And when he raised his mangled fingies, I did feel a little icky, especially when he was trying to get the flashlight, just sort of how they were all boneless and I don't know, something about it. It was just like it was so gross. And then also I think the worst part about some of these films is that they are so short, but they create these films intriguing enough where you want to know more. Like I really really want to know what was up with that planet weapon. I'm not saying I'm a Star Wars nerd or anything, but boy oh boy do I love wars on stars. And I just need to know more about whatever space shit was happening.
The last episode is Ice. This episode starts off with Fletcher talking to his parents, asking him if he's made any friends. They talked about his brother Sedgwick and asks if he has any friends as well. Fletcher says he doesn't have any friends. Then it's later in the day and Fletcher is about to sneak out of the house when Sedgwick decides to go along with him. We meet Fletcher's friends and they talk about something called the Frost Whales and that Sedgwick wanted to see them, which is a lie. Well, that's what his brother said. They make it to a frozen ocean or lake, and one of Fletcher's friends says that when the frost whales hit, they need to run as fast as possible. They all get high. The frost whales come and they all run. Fletcher hurts his leg, so Sedgwick has to pick him up. And as they're going back home, we see that Fletcher's leg has healed, and that's the end of the episode. Okay, so my theory is that Fletcher lied about his leg hurting so that he can make his brother Sedgwick look cooler. Like, I think that's what happened when he catch Sedgwick's hat. Anyways, that's just a theory, and it would be really cool if that were true, but I'm probably very wrong about that. I also thought that Sedgwick was going to die in this episode because I didn't remember anything about this episode as well. I genuinely think it would have been like cooler again. Also, like, screw the dad. Dads like that really suck, and I feel bad for Sedgwick because of that. And overall, this was a cool episode.
You are so obsessed with these people dying. So once again, this is a very like stylized animation. It sort of reminded me of Zima Blue. Them playing hacky sack reminded me of the baseball scene in Twilight. Just like how they were being super extra with their movements gave very much that scene. Also, everyone taking a hit from the communal crack pipe, that's friendship. Teens doing risky things and almost dying for fun is kind of what I assume people in the Midwest do since they have like nothing to do there. This sort of seems like a common Ohio thing to do. I don't even know if Ohio has that much snow, but I'm just assuming because I really know nothing about those states. Also, those whales were so cool looking. And I do agree with your theory that the brother was lying about his injury. With the way that the other brother looked at him when he jumped up, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. I need to go pee.
Okay.
I gotta go pee real bad. Okay. Be right back.
Okay.
The tank is empty.
If you had to choose your favorite episode of this season, which would it be?
Oh no. I didn't think about this. Give me a second. All through the house.
Really?
Listen, I love a good Christmas movie.
Hmm.
I have not watched many of them. Or I maybe have, but they were not memorable enough. But the ones that I do remember are so good. And as I said, this
Mine,
is
w-
a certified Christmas classic.
mine would have to be Life Hutch. I just think it's like a really decent episode overall. I mean, I think all of them are good, but this one has to be like the best out of everything else. It's not my favorite though. I just think it's the best. Anyways, you guys, that's our thoughts on Love, Death, and Robots Season 2. If you want to send us a voice message on Anchor, there'll be a link in the description to do so. We also have an Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, which are at MidTakesPod. I also started a TikTok account where I start unboxing physical media, basically DVDs, Blu-rays. Anyways, check out my unboxing TikTok. My TikTok is at Marco's Blu-rays, I think. I forgot. I'll put it in the description if you guys want to check it out. Anyways, that's everything. So, goodbye.